Started, if you can just please mute your microphone so we can eliminate some of the background noise. But we are going to go ahead and kick off our presentation today focused on teacher in special education here at Central Michigan University.
Hello, and I am so excited to talk with all of you today. It's an exciting time to become an educator. I am Dr. Catherine Durkin, and I am the chairperson for teacher education and professional development. And we have a great team here to speak with you today. We have Dr. Angie Jasper, the chairperson for special education and counseling.
Hi.
And we also have another faculty member, Dr. Dawn Decker. She will be here to speak with you today. And we have Jill Belay. She is the senior academic advisor here at the College of Education and Human Services, as well as the director of our residential college. And she'll be here to support and talk with you today as well. So we've got some exciting stuff to share. All right, so I'm going to talk to you in general about teacher education. And it really is an exciting time to become an educator. I can't think of a more important profession to go into that can have an impact on future generations. And we have a lot to offer you here at CMU regarding teacher education. So if you want to go to the next slide, I can just give a little brief overview. So if you want to, for example, become an early childhood educator, we have a birth to K program. You could specialize in just PK to third grade or third grade to sixth. We have all of those options available to you for certification. But then again, I know that in today's times, a lot of people are looking to become more versatile. So if you'd like to go to the next slide, you can see how we've combined some of these certifications to give you the ability to become certified in 2 areas. So you could become certified birth to grade 3, PK to 6, or to add that special education certification with another grade band. So there are a lot of options available here at CMU for you that you can look into. All right, now let's not forget secondary education. If you're interested in becoming a secondary educator, teach high school, then we have a lot of majors that are available to you. And some of them will certify you from K to 12. So you can look and see that health and physical education you become certified K-12. So there are a lot of options here for you as well that you can look into. Awesome. We've got a lot of people here excited about secondary education, and that's wonderful. We've got great secondary education programs. And so if you choose to become an educator, there are actually a lot of career paths that are open to you besides being a general education a teacher. So it's important to know that maybe for a few years you're a teacher in an elementary classroom, but you're looking for more options. There are a lot available to you with that degree. You could become a teacher consultant or an education consultant for a software company or an after-school program youth organization director. There right now is a high demand for online instructors. That's really important. We've had some students go on to become online educators. Now at CMU, we also have graduate programs too that can take you on another career path, right? So there are other areas that you can go to look into with our graduate programs as well. And they include becoming a principal, superintendent, curriculum director, reading specialist, or instructional coach. These are high demand areas, and those are options that are available to you after completing your degree. All right, so I'm going to hand the mic over to special education. I think, Dawn, are you up?
It's me.
Sorry.
Okay. So I just want to talk with you all just a little bit about special education. And this is a major, whether you're pursuing elementary education or secondary education, you could choose to, in addition, couple that with special education. Special education is important because there are quite a few people that you will interact with in your classroom that may have a disability that you might be able to see or you may not be able to see. Looking at the slide, you can see that 1 in 4 people have a disability. And when we're thinking about schools, K-12 schools, many students that have disabilities are in the general education classroom for most of their day, up to 80% of their day. So it's very likely that you will come in contact with students who have disabilities. And what better way to be prepared for them than to have some coursework in special education that can help you put some strategies in your tool belt so that you are able to better work with a diverse range of students. So you can move to the next slide. When we're thinking about K-12 schools, students receive special education services for a variety of disabilities. We focus on 2 here at CMU, but just looking at the list: cognitive impairment, emotional impairment, specific learning disability. You may have interacted with students who have autism previously, or physical impairments, hearing impairments. So there are a range of disability areas that students can receive services and supports for. You can move along. Thank you. At CMU, we offer 2 endorsement areas, one in cognitive impairment and the other in emotional impairment. Cognitive impairment prepares you to work with students who have some challenges with intellectual disabilities. We tend to see in this range students who have autism, mild, moderate, or severe intellectual disability, and some others. Students who have emotional impairments are those that you might see who have trouble regulating their emotions, and because of that, they receive special education services. At CMU, the special education major is a K-12 endorsement, which means you can work with students from kindergarten all the way up until the age of 26. In the state of Michigan, we are certified to teach students until the age of 26. You'll be prepared to work with students in a variety of settings, as well as different levels of severity. So we're really excited about our program and hope that you will consider it. I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Dawn Decker, who will talk a little bit about the benefits.
So one thing I see in the chat box, we have some questions about dual certification. So as a special education major, you are actually obtaining either an elementary or secondary teaching certificate, as well as an endorsement in special education. So that qualifies you to teach both gen ed and special ed. So that is one of the benefits of majoring in special ed, that even if you decide not to teach in special education, you are now better prepared to meet the needs of all learners in the classroom. So regardless if you teach gen ed or special ed, or if you teach gen ed, you're going to have students with disabilities in your classrooms who are receiving their regular instruction in the classroom. And that really helps to build your skills and confidence in addressing instructional needs and behavioral challenges that might exist in the classroom. So that's definitely a benefit. It also prepares you for collaborating with other professionals. And I'll show you in a minute some of the professionals that we work with as special educators, but collaboration is one of those exciting parts of our jobs, where we get to work with others to help support students. In terms of your employment opportunities, you being dual certified in gen ed and special ed will have a lot of opportunities in terms of what you decide to teach. That you can teach, if you choose an elementary certificate, you can teach your gen ed content, as well as Dr. Jasper said, in terms of teaching students with disabilities K through 26 in the state of Michigan. So it is truly a flexible career path for you. And also, even if you just, obviously we're rooting for you to decide to be a special ed teacher, but it also demonstrates to others that you have a commitment and a desire to be an inclusive educator, that you're aware of the diversity that exists in all classrooms naturally, and are prepared to address and to support students regardless of their needs. Next slide, please. In terms of career paths, as I mentioned, you can teach special education, so K through 0 to 26 in the state of Michigan, working with students with disabilities. If you choose to teach on the gen ed side of your certificate, you can teach gen ed. I see in the chat box a couple of people had pointed out they wanted to do secondary and choosing like English majors or elementary, and that would allow you to still do that as well. So you have a lot of flexibility in terms of how you decide to teach, or if you teach in various positions over the course of your career. Many of our students often move up into positions of being a consultant, where they work with other special ed teachers and help support them in the classroom. They also seek administrative leadership roles, so becoming a director of special ed or a supervisor of special education services. if you're interested in working with young adults with disabilities, that you could take a position where you help them transition to life after high school and seeing what that looks like, whether that might mean college or additional work opportunities. We work with a lot of other educational professionals. That, as I said before, that's kind of the exciting part of getting to collaborate with other professionals. We work with school psychologists. We work with speech and language therapists. We work with occupational and physical therapists, social workers, school counselors, behavioral specialists, all of these very skilled individuals who come together to support students with special needs. So it is truly exciting to have that great support network and helping you to brainstorm ways to meet students' needs. Next slide. Catherine, I think, is this you?
Turning on my mic. So one of the things that I think is a wonderful aspect of CMU is that in moving towards some of the new certification requirements, there was an increase in field hours. Bottom line is we already had those field hours built into a lot of our programs. So when you come here to CMU, you'll complete over 600 field experience hours. You will have your Gen Ed pre-student teaching experience. You'll have a Gen Ed student teaching. And if you choose to go into special education, you'll also have field experience that is specific to that and a student teaching experience that is specific to that. And that's part of becoming certified in both. Oh, okay. All right. And then one of the things that I also think is a great part of our program are our study abroad and study away programs. And these were started by a dean that we had many years ago who had a passion for travel, and she knew how it helped educators develop and thinking about teaching all children. And those are the kind of educators that we want to create here at CMU. And we have multiple study abroad and study away opportunities. And what's great about it is that it integrates your program coursework. So when you're going through, if you decide to sign up for one of those programs, they do integrate courses that are part of your program. And that's a wonderful aspect of that program that many students have found very beneficial. Yep. All right, and that's it. You also have our contact information. You have any questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Once again, I'm Catherine Durkin, and we have, I don't know if Angie and Dawn, we have automatic lights in our offices. Would like to introduce or share anything, last questions or tidbits.
I just want to respond really quickly to Damaris. A question about student teaching. So for special education, because you will be dually certified in both either special education or another area, elementary or secondary, you're required to complete 2 student teaching semesters. So that's where we mentioned the 4.5 years on average for people to graduate, because of that you will complete a year-long student teaching placement in either elementary or secondary education, as well as special education. So you will be well prepared once you exit out of the program.
I'm going to jump in and ask a couple of questions to the panel. However, if anybody has any additional questions, they can put them in the chat and we can ask the panelists. But my first question for anyone on the panel, can you talk a little bit more about the student teaching and where students can do that? Can they do student teaching in their hometown? Catherine, you're on mute.
It's going back and forth. I apologize. That's a great question, and we get that a lot. So before student teaching, you submit information to our Center for Clinical Experiences. So in a way, yes, you can complete it in your hometown. There's a caveat. You do not teach in the same, or you're not placed in the same school that you attended. So it depends on, the school system there. But yes, a lot of students go back home and student teach around their hometown area.
Excellent, thank you. We have a couple more questions. So my next question from the chat is it possible to double major in secondary mathematics and Spanish?
Yes, it is. And the thing about especially mathematics, the sequence of coursework is you would want to start on that right away. It may increase your time to graduation with those two majors, but Spanish, well, right now we would direct you to, I think the English as a second language major would be a great fit for secondary education and be very marketable. But I'd say mathematics and yeah. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So with completing the 600 hours, do you get all the hours in one field experience, or how is it structured? Can someone maybe speak a little bit to kind of how those field work hours maybe fall into maybe early clinical, mid-clinical, and student teaching?
I can feel that one. And anybody can jump in. So, and the state really did a great thing in looking at our field experience hours, and they classified them differently. So that's a great question and very much in line with how we built our program and how the state changed things. So some of those are allocated towards exploratory hours, right? To sort of help you figure out what you're doing. And then throughout the coursework, you'll have different pieces of field experience hours. Sometimes that includes engagement with an artifact of practice, but especially with pre-student teaching, we sort of build up that experience. You are in the classroom working with teachers, and I can give you an example of how well that's structured in the pre-student for elementary education. Early on, we signed on to the co-teaching model. Our partners were trained in that model so that when you go into the field, you have this structure that's very supportive. You don't feel like you've been dropped into a classroom. You and your mentor teacher have gone through this training to think about how you can share that experience in the classroom. And that's something that we've integrated here actually quite a few years ago, I feel like, that's worked out very well. And that leads into, and is very, and then next you would have your student teaching experience. So I don't know if anybody wants to join in.
I would say on the special ed side, it's very similar. We have a pre-student teaching semester as well as student teaching, and some of our pre-student teaching is very, you gain over 150 hours of pre-student teaching experience. So you are getting that applied experience very early, as well as some other courses faculty have opportunities for involvement in public school settings as well. Andy, did you want to add anything to that? I think we're good.
I think you covered it, Dawn. Yes.
I'm just looking at the question.
Well, there's one about discussion-based, lecture-based. And here at CMU, we have really dug into this perspective of education. It's, an approach that is practice-based, right? And so that means that we are engaging in the practices of education. So it's not a sit and get, right? That's not the kind of educators that we're trying to put out there. Yes, you'll have some lectures. I can't tell you there won't be classes that have lectures, but really sort of the underlying philosophy in here is sort of a practice-based education approach. And that means giving you opportunities to practice those skills. And it goes in conjunction with these field experiences that are placed throughout your program.
All right, I think we're kind of nearing. So what I will do is I will kind of throw out a plug for our next session, which starts at 2 p.m. It's a Q&A specifically with our teacher education faculty members and students. So what we can do is look through the questions that are posted in the chat and answer those during that time. But you also can make note of the contact information for our faculty here and reach out to them directly with any questions that you have. Is there anything else that any panelists would like to maybe add towards the end? Okay, excellent. Well, we're so excited that you joined us today, and we look forward to seeing you maybe in some of our future sessions, either the 2 o'clock or for the rest of the week. So thanks for joining our session today. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.